great to be here and play here. I think I was here a couple of months ago, so I have some new things, some that maybe I'll play better or worse than last time, but we will see. So I'm Robert Buxton, and I do classical piano. I also dabble a little bit in Southern gospel, but that's another thing at the end to talk about. So I will speak about the music and just announce it. I don't have a program, so save paper, I guess. This, I'm doing this project now that I thought it was going to be one program, but it's turning into like 5 or 6 or maybe more programs. And it is that, maybe I've told this when I was here before, but it's the same story, different, program today. When the pandemic started, I think a lot of us had some it was an odd time, it was a weird time, maybe still is going on in a way. And I watched this documentary on PBS called The Art of Violin. It's an incredible documentary about Jascha Heifetz, Nathan Milstein, all the great violinists of the past, Yehudi Menuhin. And I decided that I should switch to violin from piano. I had this moment. I told my wife, who's a pianist also, about my idea, and she said, well, yeah, just practice violin 15 hours a day and you'll do it. Well, I'm lazy, and also we had our first child. We have 2 now. My 1-year-old decided to, party all night, so I'm a little bit, if you hear some weird things, it's not my fault. So anyway, so she told me this, and I said that I can't do that. Well, plan B then was to learn violin music arranged for the piano, and there's a lot of it. Some of it I sort of did, but a lot of what I'm going to play, some of the pieces are originally piano pieces, but you hear them on the violin, so that counts. I figure, but mainly the bread and butter of this is Busoni, Bach, Busoni, Chaconne. I played that last one, so maybe I won't today. But Paganini arranged by Liszt, which I'll play a lot of today, and things like that. So there's like a lot of repertoire that's transferable. So plan B, I can pretend to be a violinist, and I love transcriptions or arrangements. Arrangements are like literary translations. A good one. Well, there's a spectrum. Some pieces that I'm going to play, some of the arrangements are quite changed from the original. Just like some writers, some translators, will alter language, alter words to make it idiomatic in the language, right? Some of them are pretty much verbatim. One of the Paganini studies I'm going to play by Liszt, it's almost exactly what Paganini wrote for solo violin. So it's a spectrum. And I love doing arrangements because essentially you can pretend to be something that you're not. And I like that. So I'll start with a short piece. I did this arrangement. It's called the Sicilienne by Maria von Paradis, who was a Viennese composer in the late 18th century, except it's not really by her. It's a forgery. This happened in painting too, but Chrysler and others, violinists at the turn of the 20th century, they would label pieces they wrote as obscure works from the 18th century. One was because they liked that time, but also because they were afraid what people would think if they said, I wrote it. So they just said, oh look, I've discovered this piece by Vivaldi in a vault somewhere, and people loved it. Well, actually, just kidding, I wrote it. So that's kind of how this is. This is really, it's by a violinist named Samuel Dushkin, a Polish-Jewish violinist. He escaped the Nazis and anti-Semitism and came to the U.S. and was a wonderful violinist. And he wrote this piece, but it's not really by Maria von Paradis. But anyway, it gets confusing. But it's short, and I'll start with this imitation of the 18th century. Now for some trickier stuff. I mean, everything's tricky in its own way, but so 3 hours of sleep, we'll see how this goes. This is some of the Paganini caprices and other Paganini excerpts arranged by Franz Liszt, and I'm actually playing a double arrangement of Ferruccio Busoni, who was an Italian composer and pianist at the turn of the last century. So Busoni's version of Liszt's version of Paganini, it gets very confusing. So this is, I'm going to play numbers 2, 3, and 4 of the Liszt version. The first one it's based on one of the solo violin caprices by Paganini, and it's a piece that my wife thinks, she heard me practicing it, and she said, I think this is an incredibly stupid piece. And I said, well, I think it's comic, it's comic like Mozart operas are comic, or Shakespeare, or Aristophanes, it's comic, but it's high art. She said, well, you could say that, but I still think it's stupid. She said that all she can hear is we have these two very crazy cats, and they chase each other all the time. And, there's this part right here. It sounds like it, And then she said, I hear them knocking over a vase or something, and there. So that's the image she had. I said, I think it's just comic, and she said, it sounds dumb. So here it is. But some background on the characters. So Paganini was this violinist, obviously, at the turn of the 18th, late 18th century, early 19th century. He, according to Ivry Gitlis, who's another of these great old school violinists, he died recently actually, and I admire this violinist Gitlis so much. Gitlis said that Paganini was like the Big Bang in music, that everything after him was different. Maybe there's several composers like that, like Beethoven was at that time too. But Paganini, interestingly, is many in the music world, they look down on him. They think he was kind of not such a really deep composer. I think that, if he was good enough for Brahms to arrange his music, if he was good enough for Rachmaninoff, the Rhapsody on the theme of Paganini, and Schumann, then he's good enough for us. And I think that I take issue with that criticism of Paganini. So Paganini was, by all accounts, a rather, as you might tell, crazy person. Some people thought he was possessed. Even the way he looked when he played, I think there's like one photograph of him, and he was very sickly, thin, with a thin face, like very, very bony, and even the physical side of his performance was even like frightening to people. So now Liszt was a little bit younger, and Liszt was a child prodigy, but in his 20s when he was in Paris, which is not a bad place to be, I guess, but he was not really very successful. He was very depressed. He had fallen in love with a nobleman's daughter. It didn't work. His father died, so he was in a deep funk, okay? And he heard Paganini play one day, and the story goes that he locked himself in a room and he practiced incessantly while reading Shakespeare, Dante, Goethe, you name it. And he emerged in a few years. It's like the Rocky Balboa movie, movies. He came out as Franz Liszt, and one of the things he did at this time was arrange Paganini for the piano, to translate, to learn from Paganini how he did it, but to put that to the piano. So the next piece is from, oh boy, this piece. This is drawn from the last movement of Paganini's second violin concerto. It's famous. It's called La Campanella. And the subject matter is a little bell that's just ringing and constantly ringing. And you can hear it in the upper register of the piano, constantly. It's a little out of tune, but it's okay. This. Another way to think of it, I was thinking about it when I was out doing some yard work, and some little fly or something was just buzzing in my ear. And that could be an apt way to think of it. So, famous melody, often quoted, So, if you've heard this before, you've probably heard Liszt's. Well, it gets really confusing. Liszt wrote an 1831 or something version, then he revised it in the 1850s, and I'm playing the Busoni version. Busoni changed it considerably. So this piece is considerably different from the original. It's different from the Liszt, and Liszt is quite different from the original Paganini. So there's an example of translation that's completely off. This is like variations on the theme, basically. So, okay, I'm trying to stall because, I don't want to play it. So. Sometimes the humidity makes the keys heavier. And that has happened here. But that's okay, it happened to my piano at home, it's humid. So that makes those repeated notes a little fun. So the next one is new for me. Oh boy. Paganini will get you in good physical cardiovascular shape, maybe. This one is also drawn from one of the solo violin caprices. It's called the Arpeggio. It's actually, for Paganini, it's the first of the 24 caprices. And unlike that one, and unlike the previous one, the second one I played, this is fairly verbatim to what Paganini wrote for the violin. Liszt wrote it just on one line of music, just like a solo violin would be. And he pretty much doesn't change anything. I'm playing the Busoni version here. So what Busoni did is he changed a couple little things. But the main thing Busoni did was take what Liszt did and write it on 2 lines so it's more readable. But it's the same notes. You know, this violin's range is about, it's not the whole range of the piano. This is like the orchestra here. But it's like here, you know, it's like that much. And this piece is in that range. So, let me get some water before I do this. And then after this, I have some more mellow music, I promise. So we all need it. You know, when you're tired, you sometimes, I don't know about you, but me, tends to overdo it with the caffeine. So that happens today. And I'm feeling it now. Oh yeah, one more thing. So I played this piece yesterday for my wife. I said, look, what do you hear when I play this? Because I like her image of the cats, you know? And she said, oh yeah, I played like 2 measures. You know, this, I'll play you the opening. And she said, oh yeah, that stupid merry-go-round toy that our 4-month-old kitten has. And he plays with it constantly and goes, she said that's what she hears. Not to, you know, and I don't mean here to make fun of the music. I think that what Paganini is doing is, you know, I think it is supposed to be humorous. And the Italian word scherzando means jokingly. So I think that all of this music, even the campanella, is the epitome of scherzando, joking. And so I think that, you know, cat merry-go-round thing kind of fits the bill for that. So, all right. So, as promised, some salon pieces, more subtle. This is a work by the French composer Gabriel Fauré, and it's called Après un rêve. I might have played it last time. It's for voice originally. I don't sing in French, of course, so I mean, I could try, but you don't want to hear it. This is arranged for solo piano by the Australian Percy Grainger, and who is a very odd person. You can look him up and I don't want to get into it, but very bizarre. But beautiful music you left us. And this piece, you know, it's you hear it often on cello and violin, so it kind of fits for the violin thing. What makes it French to me, it's not, you know, quite Debussy, it's not Impressionism, it's a little before that, but these Impressionist-like effects, you know, these things, that sort of aura of sound. To me, that's like the sauce in French cooking. I don't know why, but I didn't eat dinner, that's why. Okay. We'll come back to France in a little bit. I'm going to go to the British Isles. This is an Irish folk tune. I told you I forced myself to do some new things because I don't want to bore you with all the same stuff. This is something I also just learned. I don't know why I do this to myself, but anyway, this is an arrangement of "Oh Danny Boy," the Londonderry Air, very famous Irish tune. But it's arranged by our friend Percy Grainger, who arranged that and it's deceptively hard. It's harder than Paganini. It's slow, but he writes the melody in thumbs. I mean, why would you do that? I don't know, but it's just very, but it's beautiful. It's I love playing it when I can get through it without getting tongue-tied. But anyway, why am I playing this? Violinists play they play the Londonderry air of Danny Boy as a recital piece. And I not to like name drop because I didn't know him very well at all, but there was this great violinist that I had been around often at this music festival. His name was Aaron Roseanne, and he taught at Curtis, and I did a very good impersonation of him, actually, his voice. And his assistant, when I was a teenager, she very awkwardly made me imitate him for him. And I did. He didn't get the joke. I said, well, he talked like this. He always smoked a cigar and had a glass of scotch. And he would go on these tirades about the shoulder rest. And he said, the shoulder rest is an instrument of the devil. It should be thrown out and burned. And I was doing this speech, and everyone was laughing, and he was listening. And he said, you're absolutely right. The shoulder rest is terrible, so he didn't get the joke. But the point about him is I learned this from him. I heard him play. It was just mind-blowing. He's from that old generation, old school. And he said, nowadays you go to a recital and you'll hear 3 sonatas, each 30 minutes. And he said, I don't know about you, but he said, I get kind of bored. He said, we've lost the art of the short pieces, the short salon pieces, which I'm trying to do, pull them off. And I remember his recital, he played a Brahms sonata, but then he played all these very short pieces that I'd never heard of, arrangements of things. So this is like one of those things. So, but hopefully it sounds a little bit like Danny Boy. Yeah. love that arrangement. He makes it really sound like an orchestra. It's a great arrangement of it. So next, another in the British Isles. This is Sir Edward Elgar, who I love. The Salut d'Amour. I think I played this last time, so hopefully I'll change it. It's a different version today. Love's Greeting is called. He wrote it for his fiancée at the time, and it worked. Apparently they got married, they were happy. So, British music, classical music, that is, gets a bad reputation. Did I tell you last time the story of Aaron Copland, who was a great American composer? He listened to Vaughan Williams's Fifth Symphony in the 1940s, I think. And he said the effect of it was like staring at a cow in a field for 30 minutes. That's not very nice. I mean, as I say, it's a good thing that musicians don't insult each other today, but well, that was a joke. So anyway, this is such a great piece by Elgar. And what I was thinking about is it's a piece about love, of course, that it has this feeling like when one is in love, there's like the heart flutters a little bit. And the rhythm of the accompaniment sounds like that to me, And then, especially in the middle, bum, 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 bum. You have that feeling in Schumann's Widmung, which is, that's a song, and it's the same subject matter. It's a love, love piece. It has that same feeling. So I don't know. I'm talking too much here, but there's a great lecture that Leonard Bernstein talks about Mahler's Ninth Symphony, and he says that the opening, it sounds like a fluttering heartbeat, and he said that Mahler actually had a very bad arrhythmia. So there could be that connection, or maybe not, I don't know. But maybe it's just music, and that's it. But he wrote it for violin, and then he himself arranged it for piano. So that's the version I did. Do you know why he did it? Arrange it for piano? Cash. I'm serious. I read this somewhere that composers would arrange their pieces in many different versions when they needed a few extra dollars. But it doesn't mean that it's not, I'm not trying to say it's just something flippant. I mean, it's a well thought out arrangement, but you know, that was a way to increase some revenue, I think. So anyway, this is like the only original piano piece I've played so far now. I think I played it last time, and the story is there was someone here related. There was someone here related to the person this is written for. This is Claude Debussy's La Fille aux cheveux de lin, the girl with the flaxen hair. Is that, yeah? Do you mind to remind us it's such a small world? You told me that you were related to.
It's my grandmother. She was French. Parisian. I wrote it for her.
Her grandmother was the girl with the flaxen hair.
Oh my goodness.
Right here. From Paris to Raleigh. So, a small world.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for telling me last time. I remember that because I got scared. I said, I'll have to look at this piece again more. Because I'm playing it for a descendant. I mean, but anyway, it's originally a piano piece, but I've been listening a lot to Jascha Heifetz playing this on the violin. So, this piece, you know, it's typical Debussy. They call him an impressionist. He didn't like that word. But maybe another word that works to describe him is, you know, Fauré, who we heard earlier, was an earlier generation of French composer. Fauré, even when he sounds very out there sometimes, it's always within academic compositional boundaries. It's within those boundaries. Debussy's not. Debussy made fun of the rules, let's say, at school. And he wrote he would just find the sounds that sounded beautiful. And this was revolutionary at the time. And I think that this piece is like a stream of consciousness, rather than, there's not really a regular form like A, B, A or something. No, it's on another wavelength. So here is the piece I'm dedicated to you. So. couple more classical, and then I'll do a little gospel. How's that? A little improv on Southern gospel. So this is a piece you don't hear every day. It's called the Serenade Espagnole by Cécile Chaminade, another French composer, underappreciated composer. And she originally wrote this as a song for voice. Like I said, I don't sing, so. And what happened was Fritz Kreisler, the great Austrian violinist, he arranged it for the violin, and he played this in his concerts, and saw how successful it was. People loved it, and Chaminade noticed. So years later, she decided to write her own solo piano version of this piece, and she changed it. She added some sections, and so that's what I'm going to play now. You know, French composers have an obsession with Spanish music. Maybe it's like, I don't know, when I lived in Texas, I was trying to cook Mexican food, not very well. But from Texas, south of the border of Mexico, south of the border from France is Spain. So maybe that's what it is. The most maybe stereotypically Spanish opera would be Carmen. Who wrote it? Georges Bizet, French. Ravel wrote lots of Spanish-themed music, although actually he was a curious case. He grew up speaking Spanish. I think he was a Basque or a Gaston or something. So, but Debussy wrote a Spanish-themed prelude. Debussy never even went to Spain. So, but what makes something Spanish in musical character, I would say, is of course, the flamenco influence. And what is flamenco music? Flamenco was because several hundred years, Spain was Moorish, it was Arabic. And so that culture, the architecture and the music of Arabic, arts permeated Spain. And if you go to like, Seville or something, it looks, the architecture is like Arabic. So, and you'll hear these like flamenco riffs, like, it's like a guitar-ish sounding thing. So, okay, here it is. want to conclude the classical portion tonight with, this is a piece by Saint-Saëns, Camille Saint-Saëns, a French piece. It's 5 to 7 minutes, a little longer. Very crazy piece, very flashy. And I would have never played a piece like this until I stumbled across the violin version. Eugene Izay, the Belgian violinist, arranged this for violin. And actually this violin obsession thing has led me to play a lot of things I never dreamed I'd play. Because I just fell in love with them on the violin. And Saint-Saëns, like Paganini, remember I said Paganini, some people say he's sort of not a very deep composer or something. And people say that about Saint-Saëns. I believed that for a while, I was wrong. Saint-Saëns, especially this piece in particular, I would call it a little bit campy. And it's like some of the Paganini, and if you play it completely seriously, it's not going to make sense. But if you look at it as a piece that has wit, I think it makes a lot more sense. And this is very, very salon. It's very 19th century. It's very, it has a sort of charm to it. It's called Etude or Study en forme de valse, in the form of a waltz. So it's a sort of hodgepodgey waltz. Saint-Saëns was an interesting character. He was maybe more Mozartian than Mozart himself. He was a child prodigy, and at the age of 10, he gave his first recital in Paris. And this 10-year-old, he asked the audience afterwards, he said, I have all 32 Beethoven sonatas. From memory, which one would you like me to play? I mean, the little brat. So, yeah. But I mean, he was brilliant. And he was also an astronomer. He was a mathematician. He wrote The Carnival of the Animals. He was an animal rights activist. I mean, he was like everything. I don't know how he found the time to do it. The guy was something else. Anyway, so here's the piece. It's also, well, it's really crazy. I don't know, but it's beautiful. So I need water. Okay, I need to take some. Okay. So Saint-Saëns, Étude en forme de valse. Now let's do that again. The keys are sticky. Okay. Well, I usually like to play with some Southern gospel. So let's see. You want Peace in the Valley or Just a Closer Walk with Thee? I have a lot.
Just a closer walk.
Or Amazing Grace. Or maybe we'll do Just a Closer Walk. I heard that, so start with that and see what happens. So I do this in a Southern gospel style. So. A couple more in a very similar style. This is Amazing Grace, but in a more upbeat Southern gospel style. I think it can be a joyfully sung, piece. So here it is. I'll do one more. This is something I've been attempting to do. I have to preface this by saying, I did not grow up in the Pentecostal church, but I'm trying to learn the style of music because I think it's incredible. And is anyone here Pentecostal? Well, some people say it sounds like blues or boogie woogie. Well, you ask a Pentecostal church musician that, and they'll deny it. They say, no. It started, and they're right. It started at the churches, and then it, people like, I don't know, Mahalia Jackson or Elvis, they took it into, well, Mahalia Jackson didn't sing popular music, but it was taken out of that context later. So if it sounds like popular music, I would say, well, it's really not. It's pure gospel. So this is an old Pentecostal, very upbeat tune. We'll end on an upbeat note. And it's called Jesus on the Main Line. Again, I don't sing, but I try to, do some of that Southern gospel piano part. So. Oh, you want just gospel? Yeah, I can do that. I have done that. Now, I will disclose that I grew up in New Jersey, but I lived in Texas and here for many years, and you pick it up. So that's a little later addition to the repertoire. But I listen to, I love the music very much. So, and if you want, I could, do a little gospel then. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Maybe get someone to sing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Before I forget, I have this, if you want, I have a guest book. If you want to give me your email, I'll send you some YouTubes. I don't spam you, but optional, but I'll put that out here if anyone wants to. But thank you all so much for coming. Absolutely. I remember, yeah, I will in a little bit. I want to get my feet out. Okay, so let me get it out. Marshall, so. Oh, yes, sure. Really, but if you say so. Thank
I have a quick question. How many pianos do you have in your house?
Well,
Because your wife plays piano also.
back to this area, so hers is still in storage.
I'm wondering how you handle that.
Yeah, we make it work, so.
I enjoy your music very
Thank you
much.
very much. We signed up for one. Oh, okay, all right. Thank you. Well, thanks for the story.
Divided to have you play summer. Start farming.
Thank you. Bergen County.
That's where I grew up.
Really?
Rutherford.
Rutherford, I'm from the Tenafly.
Yeah. I have relatives in Wyckoff.
Oh, in Wyckoff,
A
yeah.
lot of Jersey people.
Yeah, there are a lot of great people. Oh, my teacher, I had several, but the main teacher was a Russian guy. My mom's Russian, Vladimir Yardo. And he was a bagpiper in the great. Yeah. Oh, you did? You're Princeton, okay, Central. Yeah, a lot of New Jerseyans here. So.
Is that where you're from?
Originally. Well, but my dad's a Virginia guy, and my mom. But me, myself, yeah, I was born in Englewood. I was born in Englewood, was in 10th class. So, oh, really? No.
So how many years did you study?
It's always, the studying never stops. So, it never stops.
You were at what age?
3. Yeah. So,
Your parents?
well, of course, I just like, and I promise I just want to, but yeah, you want to sing it? Oh, okay.
What is your name?
My name's Robert. Robert Buxton. Oh yeah, I'll be here every few months, every couple months. Yes, if you give a good report, it helps me, it helps my case. And if you want to sign it, what I'll do is I can send you this performance. I filmed it on my phone. Oh, I have a book where I get people's emails. It's optional. You don't have to. I like to stay in touch with everybody. Yeah, I've been here a few times. I remember we met before. I was out of the area for a while. We were in Greenville with my wife. We were both teaching at East Carolina, and we wanted to come back here. Like this area.
You live in Greenville?
I did, yeah.
I lived there 10 years.
Oh, you did? Okay.
You go to school there?
No, I taught there. Yeah. And then we're back here. I had family here.
So where do you live now?
Oh, I live in Nevada, near Burlington, New Chapel. Yeah, in Jersey, I lived in town. East Windsor. Yeah, I know where it is.
Okay, so you know you're coming back.
Oh yes, I'll be back in.
You better come back.
Yeah, please. This is the best place. The warmest people are here. I love playing here. So I just don't deserve it. People are so nice here. I play and everyone's in a good mood.
Thank you for your time.
We look forward to these.
I look forward to coming here. I always coming to Brookville, North Raleigh. It's a treat.
Treat for us.
I see you prepare special class, and I appreciate it.
I wish I got one. Yeah, the keys are very well, I live so my wife's from Japan. So we've been there, I like it. Well, that's hard, but the food is easier. Get more food in.
I guess, but I was like, and stuff like that, yeah, I saw.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to as well.
I
Yeah.
just, I never,
Well,
Yeah, my grandfather.
next time, his wife, coming from the descendant of one of the
Yeah.
pieces.
One thing is interesting, what about,
Please sign if you didn't sign this. Oh, okay,
Regina was pronounced to proceed. The French again.
We're gonna have a little more music in a second. I'm gonna play an original hymn by Marshall.
I'm from New York. I have French people. Yeah. And I'll sit on this side.
Oh, yeah, please. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. God bless you, child. I'm from
I'm glad to be here. We're out of this area and
You're back.
I see where it's like home.
Thank you. I feel
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you, that our organist can make that foot talk. I said, God bless you. Okay, see your family.
God bless you too.
Okay, baby.
Oh, hello. I remember you. How's it going? Yeah, it's been a while. Oh, well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Yes. Yeah.
what's the best way to?
So, well, especially on this piano, which has got a very heavy touch. So you can't rely purely on the fingers. You gotta play.
if you want to go upstairs and practice?
And actually, that will do everything.
Yeah, I
That will
need a
do all the
piano.
work.
That makes a difference.
And so it doesn't put all the strain on it. It's not like typing. You want to use the shoulder and
I can feel a little stiffness. Is there any, do you soak your hands in water?
could do that, Epsom salt.
That's what I'm thinking.
But I would say just try to focus on using the arm. Because it's like imagine the fingers go up to here. And so if you play a note, instead of doing this,
Yeah.
like instead of doing that, it's actually, you could try it's just, you use, yeah, even if you stand, it might help to, because, like, I mean, to practice it, try to, like,
We have a portable piano upstairs.
yeah, just do, like with the whole arm. Yeah, like that. And then the fingers, because even like when I play those fast things, it's not, it's really, it's like, it's an arm thing.
I never
So,
thought about that.
And the wrist.
I've not heard of this piano before. This is.
Young Shang. Yeah, I think it's
Chinese?
China, yeah.
I had a Yamaha.
Yamahas are very good, I love
I
them.
know, I like it.
So,
Okay, thank you.
thank you, good luck tomorrow. I hope
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt.
That's
So.
right.
Oh.
I hope I can play it well enough they can sing along.
Well, yeah, that's.
But I don't do gospel.
Oh, no.
But it's great.
It's just, you pick it up, so I'm going to sight read now a original hymn by a composer who's right here, Marshall Wilson.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I add a couple
Be my
things?
guest.
Because I can't help it, I embellish, I embellish stories too, so it's,
Embellish to your heart's content.
that's the funny thing. Whenever you play a composer's music and the composer is there, every time, if I ask them, can I take liberties with it, the composer says, please.
Absolutely.
It's always in school they tell you, no. But anyway, let's see how, it's okay if I'll put it back. Okay.
It's like 7 pages long.
I got it. Is it, how fast is it like? Is it like that? Okay. that's by her, so, by Marsha Wilson. Well, thank you for,
Repetitious.
yeah, but it has changes within those repetitions, so.
But no, not to make it.
Well, I think it works, I mean, when you, with the choral, like with the voices, it, yeah, I mean, and what you could do, and I just did it a little bit, was sometimes, but that's, I don't know, it's not improved, I mean, I think that a lot of hymns you'll just naturally, you don't have to add that in the music, it's just,
Because of the verses.
yeah. Right, it would change a little.
Yeah.
But I think it's great the way it is. I don't think there needs to be improvement. I think if you had the choir singing it, and I might have some leads. Do you have you have an email? Did you write it?
Did you watch it? Did you write it in your
Because I,
Okay.
you know, so my wife plays with many choirs. And some church choirs, and I used to play for churches. Now I don't have much time for it, but I know choirs, and I think there might be some ways to get this played and sung. I mean, what about a local church choir?
I've given it to them.
Did they do it?
No.
No. Okay.
I don't know whether it was too hard, or they didn't like it, or they haven't had time to practice it, or.
Do you mind if I hold on to this copy, or?
No, go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I've got a copy.
You have a copy, okay. Or you could email it to me. I don't want to steal your music here, so.
No, that's okay.
Thank you for a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming.
I was interested to hear you talk about that, because my piano teacher, because I was a piano major,
oh, wow.
He would try to teach me that, and I have not been able to grasp it.
The arms.
The arms and moving the wrists. I have a hard time with all those fast notes.
I do too.
Yeah.
But when you figure out how to just relax and let the it's weight transfer, you just it's like pushing a piano, you just it plays itself. So
still working at it.
You'll get it, just experiment, yeah. It takes time, but once you get it, it clicks. It's like, oh, well, it's like a tennis, you hit a tennis ball, you don't hit it with pure force, you have to hit it with, I mean, I don't know, I don't play tennis, but it's, there's a,
It was a wonderful, thank you.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
The next time, can you do Old Happy Days?
Okay, I can learn it. I haven't done it, but I know
Yeah.
I know it, and I can.
Okay, good. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Even though I'm Catholic, that's one of my favorites. Okay,
It's
thanks
like,
a lot.
you know.
You are fantastic.
Thank you very much. No, that's
No,
not.
that's the one.
I'll have to listen
Okay.
to it more.
Do you know that the birds stopped flying when you were playing?
Oh no, did I scare them?
I think they were just listening.
Okay, well.
They stopped, they were like,
Wow, I'm gonna get my glasses real quick. One second.
they're out now.